Episode 4. Just Another Battle.
Causality bombs. They ripped holes into space-time, ending the rule of cause and effect. Linuka watched the recovery team carrying two of the dreaded weapons down the space tug's small loading ramp. Each bomb cylinder measured just over the length of an adult human. "These devices look odds," said one of the many bystanders, marveling at the haul of the alien supertech the tug crew had secured before attaching the cables to the Din's body. If they had looted less and retrieved the carcass faster. Linuka shook her head. Then they'd have a dead Din, but might not even know the Boehmer fleet brought more than one bomb. The one she had seen before it vanished alongside her father, when the trap closed. "What does that mean?" she asked Miru, hovering next to Linuka. "It means weird, strange, bizarre, or peculiar." The bombs looked weird indeed. A thin wire seemed coiled around the length of the cylinder, leaving visible gaps between the coils, giving the entire device an aura of translucency. But no light shone through them, and the gaps tricked one's eyes into believing they'd reveal the innards of the weapon. But when Linuka focused her gaze, the surface closed into a solid dark gray. Non-integer dimensionality. Looking like it's not quite there, not quite in tune with the surroundings. Father had told stories about his mission to the Boehmer's home galaxy, using one of their own sphere drives. Describing the stolen tech's appearance to young Linuka had always been a challenge for him, and now she understood why. "It appears like our enemy wanted to be certain about our destruction." Base Commander Ksheep had joined the growing crowd. Other crews report they found similar devices. "More causality bombs?" asked Linuka. "That makes no sense." "Why not? If this location is as critical to the war as your father told us, they surely had planned for a massive bombardment." Linuka shook her head. "It's not that kind of weapon, Commander. One of these would have causally disconnected the entire planet Prawl from the rest of reality. That's all the Dark Ones needed. That's what led them here, getting rid of the root cause of their future destruction." She could sense the Traz contemplating, trying to understand her frustration. "This war is bigger than us outrunning the invaders, isn't it?" asked Ksheep. "Traz, Isonomy, humans, and so many others, fighting everywhere in this galaxy. It's just another battle." "No, Commander, this here." Linuka made a sweeping gesture. "It's the battle. We were certain this is where it would end, where we could beat them." "This conflict is fought backwards through time," said Miru. The AI core meant well, but she could feel Ksheep's struggle with the nature of the war deepened. Linuka sighed. The commander had been close to getting it. Linuka's forehead wrinkled. Maybe they were not 100% certain that this place and time was the correct target to strike. Maybe they carried extra bombs for other targets, other realities. "It is a possibility," said Miru. "This scenario would explain their staggered arrival, a behavior previously not observed. The Boehmer always struck with a decisive force. The first arrival here was a single ship, which likely alerted the others after finding the base. This was an improvised task force then. They didn't know the Prawl system was the target until they found us. They had planned for a longer campaign." "So the enemy had less intelligence than you assumed," said Ksheep. "This is good." "No, it's terrible. That means we have no idea who else is still out there. We have two Din here. One vanished in our trap, the other just exploded out in space. There might be more. More bombs, too." She clenched her fists. "We achieved nothing here." Ksheep's mental embrace felt warm and genuine. "You saved us. I say you achieved a great deal." Linuka knew he was right, but she could not feel accomplished. Mission success. Well done. Reeds, she could feel none of it. Worst of all, the more possibilities existed for her trap not having ended the war, the less likely was her father's survival being the reason for her complete memory of the events. She would have to face the cold reality of her father's sacrifice on Prawl not being the glorious end. It was, as Commander Ksheep had said, just another battle. She had to believe it was a victory, though, and an important one. The breeding couple vanishing in the trap had a shock effect on the Boehmer assembled here. It had to ripple through the realities, bought them time, an unspoken ceasefire maybe. A ceasefire she planned to take advantage of. "Miru," she said, "let's go home." "If by home, you mean the part of this reality where Rar and Commander Zini are holding off boarders from the Levy fleet on board the battlecruiser we stole, then yes." Ksheep's mind did not let her go. Ironic. When they first met, he could not get rid of his strange guests fast enough, even contemplated having them killed and thrown out into one of Praal's many slot canyons. Their departure now troubled him. It sounds like wherever you go, Linuka, ward of Ziriak, offspring of Kel. Trouble is not far. I have been a warrior for most of my life, and I understand the mindset. But you could go to any reality you want to. Why do you fight? Linuka suppressed her immediate thought. It's all I got. Instead, she said, any reality? Not anymore. No place, no time is safe from this enemy. We'll have to beat them everywhere. Good luck, seems what your fellow humans wish in these situations. I hope it will suffice. Ksheep might have thought his words were hollow, but Linuka realized how comforting his mental embrace had been when the Traz released her to her own, lonely thoughts. Can we do anything else for you? Linuka switched realities before, but she could count the successful traversals on one hand, with fingers to spare. She knew Miru, her guide, was prepared, but she needed a quiet place. Maybe we could have the shrine room for ourselves? It would make things easier for me. Ksheep led the way to the Ihiad shrine, the narrow room where her father, Miru, and Linuka had arrived, resolved to end the war. Steadfast optimism could be a dangerous companion, and neither her father, nor the optimism, would return to her own timeline. The Traz had already said what needed saying, and left them unceremoniously in the place of worship to the solar sailor god, now deserted, the faithful busy with cheering on the returning salvage crews and their loot. Even if only 10% of the tech was recoverable, it would help rebuilding this galaxy. Linuka sat down in front of the shrine. It was covered with trinkets and little figurines, likely asking the gods of space travel for granting safe passage for all their journeys. I wonder if Ihiad had time to watch over reality travelers? Are you ready? Asked Miru. Linuka closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Again and again. Breathing in through her nose, she could smell pungent sweat, stinging alcohol, and metallic tang, typical for the atmosphere on a permanently crewed spaceship. The destination also carried the sounds of struggle. There were frantic footsteps, heavy doors opening and closing. Trouble is not far, had Ksheep said. Linuka steadied her breathing and answered the AI core. Yes, I'm ready. She was ready to travel space and time, to face the struggle. What scared her was having to tell Rar, her father's friend of 30 orbits, that the great Kelchada, who united the warring factions who saved Rar's child, was not coming home with her. It would break the galaxy's bravest warriors' spirit at the time they needed it most.